Eli up first. Everyone give him a round of applause.
Okay, everybody. It's always good to be here. We're coming into the summer months, so a lot of people are away some of the weekends. I think it's actually a pretty good thing in that people are kind of getting out, visiting other communities, visiting family, going to workshops. But it does mean sometimes our Sunday services are a little bit smaller, more close-knit, which luckily with modern technology, everyone can still join through Zoom and other things. So what I really wanted to share today is I hadn't had a chance yet because of some things that happened to share kind of my reflection and experience of being in Munich. So both me and Vicky want to take the time today to kind of share a little bit of our experiences and our testimony. And the first thing I wanted to say is the whole event itself was quite a kind of wonderful atmosphere, kind of wonderful feeling, because families from all over Europe were coming together, and it almost felt like a workshop experience, right? Because I haven't, once you're back in university, once you start having kids and working, you don't really get a chance to go to so many workshops, right? And it just becomes, it's something you kind of miss. But when you have these big events and members from all over Europe come together, it kind of reignites that feeling of kind of you had when you were at workshops. You're kind of with brothers and sisters and you're kind of catching up on life. And what feels really nice is that those connections are still there, right? You might not have seen someone for 5 or 10 or 15 years. Actually, I think some people maybe we didn't see for 20 years, right? Since we were on STF. But just 20 years ago, by the way. Wow. Okay. We got out of STF 20 years ago. But those connections are still there. And it's really like, it's kind of a beautiful thing that it kind of gives me a lot of inspiration. These relationships we build are kind of eternal in a way, right? And also what's very nice is that it's even when you meet new people, right? Maybe the spouses of a friend or something like that, that connection is very quick and very kind of on a very deep level because you have this kind of shared community and this shared experience. And also what's really nice is, meeting friends' children, their family. So from kind of an external viewpoint, it was really, I don't know, it was a very, really uplifting experience, a really kind of community feel. And I was just really glad we could go. I was really glad we could bring the kids. But then in terms of kind of the internal aspect, the opportunity for me was kind of the day before the main event when Mother called the national leaders and some of the organizational leaders to like a hunduke in her hotel room, right? Because on the actual day of the event, even though I was really trying to focus on Mother's speech, it was kind of also focused on the kids, so it was much harder to kind of have, and it's obviously a big venue and everyone's there. So it was much harder to have kind of a artistic connection, right? So really, I had this opportunity to kind of be in a small room with Mother, with other brothers and sisters, and that's kind of I want to share my reflections on that because I was there representing Ireland. I also wanted to give everyone a kind of chance to kind of be in the room with me, kind of share what I was seeing and kind of understand what Mother was saying and what she was focused on, right? Because I think whenever I meet true parents, and I've only had a few rare opportunities to be in a room like that with true parents, I really try to focus on what father and mother are like, their facial expressions, not just what they're saying, but kind of some of the small things they do, what the people around them are doing. So it's really a good opportunity to, let's say, see the real true mother, right? The real person that's in the room. And I did want to say, I was very grateful for Rory's service about attendance because it really kind of connects to this point, like being in the room with Mother or, coming to this event, we're kind of unified as a community. There's many different ways to kind of attend mother. And I felt, we were asked the night before to go, and I was really trying to prepare this hard and have the right attitude and the right preparation, right? Although I do have to say, should be there as early as possible, right? And be in the front row and have a heart of prayer. Unfortunately, didn't really know where to park in Munich. I had a car and probably should have taken a taxi in retrospect. So it took me about 20 minutes to find a parking spot and get in the door, to the point where I was like one of the last people there, and it was already quite crowded. And the other people that were coming there at the same time as me weren't allowed in, actually. It was too crowded, but they kind of said, okay, I guess because you're a national leader, you can go in. So I squeezed my way into a corner. So yeah, it was a very compact room. And one of the first things, when mother comes in, she kind of sits down in the chair and she starts like, it's much more informal, right? Even though it's kind of always formal around mother, the international leader, right, Reverend Song, was like, oh, should I start with the prayer? And mother said, my speech is a prayer, like, let's just kind of get to it, right? So, and it's very lucky that I can kind of listen to her directly, because I think little comments that true parents make like this, they often don't come up in the translation, right? So that's why I like to share them. So then she starts speaking, and one thing that I always really I've noticed about when mother speaks, even if it's a small, a big, a big audience, a small audience, she's speaking to national leaders, she's talking to a small group like ours, she always starts by essentially giving a principle lecture, right? Like, without fail, mother's whole, like, it's so much a part of her. It's just like her first thing she talks about. She talks about God and the creation and Adam and Eve, and then she goes into the process of restoration. She talks about Jesus. Actually, when she was talking about Jesus this time, she mentions Mary. And that's something I've noticed that she's done a little bit more, where she really emphasizes Mary's inability to support Jesus and to understand who Jesus was, right? And how that led to the crucifixion. So it's always, for mother, the principle is just part of, what she believes, what she does. It's just, if she's speaking, it's like the first thing she has to mention, right? And I just, on reflecting on this, I think it's really a good lesson for us to have, especially as we're trying. I really feel like we have to be taking advantage of this time and start to be teaching principle, right? And I'm kind of really trying to prepare for us teaching people and having guests and bringing people to the center and becoming people who are teaching the principle, even when we just are speaking with people, somehow bringing principle into those conversations. And unfortunately, it's been way too long since I've actually given a principle lecture, right? So mother's giving a principle lecture every day to every person she talks to, right? But then I think it's a good example, something we should think about and figure out how we can do that a little bit better. The other thing that happened is the translation wasn't working. I don't know what was wrong with it. It was like cutting out or something. So some technical error. So the poor translator had to like come out with the staff and be like, sorry, mother, like kind of interrupted her. Like, the translation isn't working. She's like, all right, let's do it the old fashioned way. So in one way it was really good, because simultaneous translation is a lot harder, but mother's speaking and then she has to stop, and then the translator translates it, right? And so I think for the members, at least the European members in the room, it was actually much better because they could get like everything mother said, because he could kind of translate through it. So once mother kind of finished the principle, and the reason I think she talks about the principle, other than it just being her everyday life and what she's focused on, is, to me, it's really clear, like, her conclusion of that principle talk she starts with is to really help people understand that in order for history to be completed, there needs to be a female Messiah, right? That is mother's main point. she's saying, I am the female Messiah, right? That's my responsibility. That's why I'm here. And so what's very kind of reassuring for me is she doesn't have to change the principle to make that point. She's giving the same principle lecture that we've always heard, that's always been given. It's kind of a very natural conclusion of the principle, right? That Jesus came, he didn't get married. He said he would come back and get married, because to complete the principle, there has to be two messiahs. There has to be a male messiah and a female messiah, right? That's kind of my paraphrasing of what Mother's kind of promoting and talking about. And I guess, I mean, for me, that was kind of always very clear, but I feel like, you know, for many reasons, and I don't want to focus on that today, but that's just kind of, it's a challenge for a lot of people to kind of make that connection or see it that way, right? And I think that's why Mother keeps emphasizing it and re-emphasizing, right? But once Mother finishes that kind of very clear kind of principle lecture, she does the whole principle in about 10 minutes, right? Then she kind of just starts sharing about like what she's thinking about, what she's focused on. And I think this is really the blessing of being able to just kind of sit down in a room with her, right? So she's talking a lot about like her frustration with Christianity, right? Like the Christian heart and attitude that really like loves Jesus, but does not understand the essence of Jesus, right? Like that this mistake that in the theology of Christianity has held God's providence back. And you can tell she's very personally frustrated by it, right? And then after that, she started talking about Europe, and she's obviously she's coming to Europe, so she's studying things, she's going on tours, she's visiting places. And so she talked about, very specifically about, does everyone know what the epic Slav is? I'd never heard of this, but it's this like massive, like wall-sized paintings, like a series of paintings. I think it's about 10 paintings, and they're in a museum in Prague now, about the history of the Slavic people, right? So it was done by some Czech artists, I think in the early part of the 20th century. So even before, like, I think it's before Yugoslavia and the whole like Balkanization and the wars that happened. So Mother was very inspired by this, the epic Slav and these murals, because, and when you look at them, they kind of do remind me of some of these like paintings of Korea during like the March First movement, right? Like large groups of people that are like out in the streets protesting or seeking for freedom or suffering. And she made some comment like the artist who drew this must have really had like a spiritual experience to be able to draw these paintings, because they're really a genuine reflection of the suffering and the struggles of the Slavic people, as like an example. So she's very inspired by that. And again, I was very, it was like a very unique situation to just hear Mother talking about something, something she went and saw that really impacted her and really had an effect on kind of her view of Europe and of the Slavic people. So I just thought it was very interesting, right? And it was kind of, she was tying this into her point about, people suffering, people needing their parents, needing the parental figure, right? And she was also talking a bit about like the challenges with Christianity. And then the second thing she mentioned that I thought was very interesting is that she was talking about the Ottoman Empire, right? And she said, the Ottoman Empire was an incredibly successful empire, and it expanded across like a massive part of the world, and it expanded when Christianity was kind of at its height but starting to decline, right? And she said, why was the Ottoman Empire so successful? She said the reason the Ottoman Empire was really so successful is at the time in Europe, Christians were having this attitude like, oh, either you're Catholic or you're or you're Orthodox, right? There was kind of this schism, right? And it's like everyone had to be the religion of the nation. And if you weren't, it was like you were a criminal. Other religions were outlawed and banned, and it created a lot of, but in the Ottoman Empire, you were allowed to be your own faith, right? You could be Christian, you could be Jewish, or you could be Muslim, right? Now, Muslims had some advantages in the society, but like this is actually, it's very interesting because when I was living in Albania, this is actually why the Albanians are so integrated religiously. Because during the Ottoman Empire, they kind of all had different faiths. There were a lot of Orthodox, there were a lot of Catholics, there were a lot of Muslims. And so they kind of created a very almost interreligious culture in the main part of Albania, right? So the Ottoman Empire lasted a long time. It had many different phases. It wasn't always that idealistic, but there was a time when the Ottoman Empire was at its height where it really was like they conquered a nation and then they said, okay, you're still a nation. You believe what you want. You just have to pay taxes and follow our rules, right? That was actually similar to the Roman Empire. And I remember mother or father mentioned that about the Roman Empire as well. So it was just an interesting point, but her main point with that was like this attitude that she said, this is an attitude in Christianity and just that people have, where it's either you have to believe what we believe, or you're ostracized or you're punished, right? And she said, we really have to, that's really not the right attitude. It's really closed-minded, and people really have to be able to, to worship the way they want to and the way they're comfortable. So now she said that in the context of, and we have to tell them that, we're the true parents and, I'm the only begotten daughter and everything. So it's an interesting dynamic that I have to think about. But the last thing she said I wanted to share that's kind of stuck in my mind is she was kind of saying, you don't have to try to be convincing people. And I think this is why she was mentioning these other points and she was trying to tie things together. She was saying that, in the current providence, like people are prepared and you don't have to be shy or afraid. You just have to tell people about the true parents, right? And that's it. It's like, it's not, you don't have to try to convert them. You don't have to like, and I don't think she was saying don't witness and don't teach principle, but she was saying that like the first step is just give the people the opportunity to find out, like just tell people. And then she scolded us a bit. And that was kind of an interesting point. And Dr. Balcom shared that later, but she said, like how many countries are here, right? And in this region, EUME, there's 55 countries. I think it's 55, right? So you have 55 countries, right? How many of them are have at least 100 members, right? That's what she asked, right? Because when she was asking Dr. Balcom about how many members are in Europe, he was like, well, do we count people who don't tithe and don't come to church? He was kind of like, it's about 5,000, maybe 10,000, right? It's like maybe 4,000. She's like, yeah, but essentially she just did the quick math and she's like, but it's basically less than 100 per country. And he's like, yes. So that's kind of her point was, do you have at least 100 members in your country? Which nations don't, right? And people can talk about Liechtenstein and what is it, San Marino and the smaller countries, but her main point was, still, even overall, it's really not so many. And her actual words were, when we raised our hands because we have less than 100, she said, that's embarrassing, right? Or that's shameful. You can translate it different ways. But anyway, that was the essence. So she was being a little strong and she was talking about kind of that. And then she said, I kind of want to scold you more, but instead I'm going to give you a gift, right? So then she called up all the national leaders and she gave us like an envelope with cash in, right? And I was just, it was $2,000, by the way, and I'm not going to keep any of it, by the way. So, but I was really like, I received this kind of envelope, and I was really thinking, how can I use this, or how should I use it, right? And I was thinking back to what Mother said about like, just tell people, that the true parents are here, that there's a female Messiah, and that's me, and she's born and she's on the earth. So I was quite inspired. Like my feeling when I received that is like, okay, that's what this money should be used for. So my plan right now, and because I mentioned money, I know everyone's gonna have different ideas, and already I've gotten different ideas of how to spend the money, but this was kind of my inspiration when I got it, was to kind of just make a video ad summarizing Mother's point, right? Like just either some testimonials or some kind of professional production, and just send it around Ireland, right? Like just run it as a digital ad, or see if there's any kind of, or put it on social media, whatever we can do, because I think that's the fastest way to reach the most amount of people, right? So just some kind of simple messaging like Christianity is focused on the male aspect of God, but God is male and female, which means there needs to be a male and female Messiah. That male and female Messiah is father and mother, right? And then that's very simple, very clear. And then, that was what Mother asked us to do. So that's kind of what I kind of felt inspired to do. So yeah, so that was kind of my experience in the room with Mother. She also makes some jokes sometimes, and we sang "Oh Maya" together in the room. It was kind of like a very kind of personal experience. And the last thing I really felt is, and I felt this the few opportunities I had like this with Father, is Father and Mother can really make a small room and even a large stadium feel like we're all doing something together, right? And it's just kind of my final thought, is like, she really does have a motherly heart, and she's really trying to encourage us and scold us and guide us, and she's trying to find that balance. Of course, I think every person will react to it differently, but yeah, I was just really grateful for the opportunity to be there, the opportunity to represent Ireland. And so I really felt it was important I kind of share that with everyone. So even though you couldn't be in the room, you could kind of hopefully get some sense of what being in the room was like. Lastly, the very last thing is when I left, I was really happy to see Mandy and Carol had also been in the room. So it was like, we had a really overrepresented, like there was probably 60 people in the whole room, and 3 of them were from Ireland. So we kind of, we were well represented in that room. So that was great. All right. I think that's everything I wanted to share. I'm really sorry because I have to run now. So I'm going to hand it over to my lovely wife, Victoria, to share her own testimony and experience from what we're doing in Munich. So thank you, everyone. Have a great week.
Morning, everybody. Sorry, I'll be fast. I have very impatient children already leaving. Yeah, so I feel like me and Eli, the way we work together, we often represent maybe 2 sides of a coin. He focuses a lot on maybe internal aspect, witnessing, building membership. And I always seem to focus more on membership, on taking care of the members and getting inspired on how I can take care of the members in the current community. So we were thinking about, okay, how can we, when we found out when Mother was coming, obviously it's always a thought, oh, should we just send Eli to go? I'll stay home with the kids because, of course Eli has to go. But then I had a dream with Mother. And just to put it short, I saw her I was in this big hall and I went outside and I see her coming and then no one's ready. So I basically, I let her in and I go get her some water and I serve her. And then I turn and I was about to get something and she's like, I have a gift for you. And then I woke up, right? So then I felt really inspired and strong thought that, okay, I need to go as well. And I need to bring my kids. This could be the last chance that they'll see True Mother, right? I personally don't have that many experiences, but the ones I have are very precious. And then also my mom pointed out like, oh, they're doing stalls. And I was like, okay, that's interesting because that's something I do on a part-time basis anyway with my arts and crafts. And soon after that, I kind of had a shower experience, a shower inspiration. I don't know what you call it. When you're in the shower and suddenly you just have an idea and everything is just dang, 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 dang. This is what you got to do. And I was like, okay. So here I go. So basically, yes, I thought something I've been struggling with is something what can I contribute, something what I want to do to keep inspired. I feel like it's really important when if there's something that inspires you, you should go for it. Everyone has different talents. We don't have to all do one thing. You should take ownership. If you have an idea, take ownership and, do your best, do the conditions to really fulfill those. So in my sense, I was like, okay, something that I've been wanting to do for many years is to buy land for the community. So suddenly I had this idea I could make church merch, is what I was saying a lot while I was there. So got inspired and I made these kind of church items, right? So I made key rings, little items like that. I have some pictures as well. I also made a website, which I paid for. And then, yeah, I set up a stall. I brought like €1,000 worth of product and I was able to, so within the 2 days we were there, I had a stall. Eli was talking to members. I had a stall and somehow we managed with the kids. I don't know how we did it between the kids throwing up here and there and being sick. And then suddenly we had a stall. It was chaotic, but my condition was I wanted to do this. So I was very inspired to do that. And I really feel like what has always guided me in my spiritual life is my intuition. And when I get ideas like that, when it's just like dung, 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 it's like, it's not mine. Someone has given this to me. And usually when I follow it, good things happen. So, so we were able to somehow bring my kids and we all went. It was chaotic, but the boys were very good. Caspian even got to sing on the stage for True Mother. He was very inspired to do that. He was very good. Big smile there. And even Natty was enjoying it. He was singing, dancing. We got a nice little spot for the families because to support the kids on stage, the parents have to be close to contain them. So that worked out very nicely. So we got to be really close to True Mother. Like True Mother walked right by us and I was able to take pictures with the kids kind of like maybe where Rory is and True Mother, right? And like, hey, quick, they have a photo with True Mother. But also then in the other spare time, I talked to a lot of members having the stall and I felt like we were, again, overrepresented in this, amazing event, like for the amount of members we have in Ireland, I think 80% were there or something, like a huge number of us. So like continuously Irish members coming, taking pictures, supporting it. It was really good. So I really felt that was the gift, like really like by going there, I'm doing this with the community. And I could show quickly the website. This is the website, very quickly done. So I'm calling it Chunugug Village Ireland. You can look at it. So this is not the main page, but anyway, so the main page is our vision. But here, if we go to the report, go to that one, the report from the event. I'm going to try to keep it updated. So I have a shop. There's a shop on this website selling my products. So on the event, I bought like €1,000 worth of product. This is stuff I had made myself. And I was able to sell 900. I think, where is it? Going down, a little bit down? Down more and more. So here, there's a picture of me. Zach was a good He was learning the business, I suppose. He was selling alongside me. And there's David with a baby. It was just like a community stall. Like every Irish member was there, and it was really nice, right? Oh, sorry, you were busy, sweetie. Jack Corley came, supported. This is on the second day, so I actually didn't even have that much product left. So I don't know if you go up a bit. I think so. Okay, so I made 904 euros out of sales, out of 1,000 euros of worth of product. But because of a lot of it, I had to pay for the stuff to make it. So profit wise, I made 516. Then total with the donations, people just came and just gave donations. I made about 531. So that was very good. If you want, you can go up, you can go up a bit, you can up to the top. You can look, there's the shop. So you can, it's still in progress. You can see some of the products I had. This was very popular. I made coasters with the church symbol on it and a few different things. I'm continuously trying to expand. I'm not a computer whiz, so very simple, very simple anyway. But even because of the shop, I was able to sell more during this month. So I just want to be completely like, what's the word, transparent in what I'm doing. So I'll report again the final that I have, and then I can finish. So I have my account here, and so I made about 516, I think. Well, I don't know. But with the sales I made this month, so I have this little thing on Revolut, Chanagook Village, I've made 612.63. So I made a few more sales during this month. So you guys can help and spread the word. I'm, like, and if you ever, some members like Betty was there, she took some product with her and she's selling it in England for me and things like that. People are being very helpful and it's just something that in today's, I found inspiration. I found a drive to do it. So I'm just going to go for it. Doesn't matter if it's just me, but if anyone wants to support me, you're very welcome to. But I'm hoping in the end that we can, the first goal anyway, is to buy land for 1 John and prayer, like peace garden prayer for the members. And then, we can go on from there. A lot of money, but you know what? You have to start somewhere. And that's what I'm doing. And that was just a short report there. I can finish with a prayer. But in the end, I felt it was a very good experience to bring the family. I was very inspired by all the support, all the members that I met and talked to. And and I really want to inspire 2nd gen, 1st gen. If there's something that inspires you and if you feel, trust your gut instinct and go for it, because we all have the power to get the spirit world going behind us. And I truly feel that. Because I wouldn't have been able to do this by myself, for sure. Anyway, I'll close that with a prayer. And please join me in prayer. As family parents, true parents, our true mother is working really hard. She's moving continuously from one country to the next. And we're very inspired by seeing her, to get a glimpse of her, to really feel the atmosphere in the room when she came through. The singing and the atmosphere was so high, intense spirit world, and really believing that this is the only begotten daughter, and that she's really fighting to for her own foundation and to really do her part with our beloved true Father and spirit world. And they're working really well and strong together, and it's so inspiring to see that. I really want to pray that we can take some inspiration from today and even even that we have a small room here, we can inspire all the spirit world that are around us to really fulfill goals and feel strong in ourselves to really move that spirit world to get things going. And we want to thank everyone here and all those on Zoom and anyone who has committed, so much of their time for something higher. And I really want to pray that we can really support each other and support you, our true parents and Heavenly Parent. Thank you for this time. I want to pray all this in my name, Victoria, wife of the Life family, pastor family, you. Okay, thank you very much.